Dear Chosen One, there is something about your journey that sets you apart, something even you may not fully grasp yet. Have you ever looked around and wondered why love, connection, and relationships seem to unfold differently for you? Why does it feel like you're standing on the outside, watching others move through relationships while your path remains uniquely solitary? It's not rejection, it's not even loneliness, it's something deeper, a divine orchestration shaping your destiny in ways most people cannot comprehend. To those who have supported this mission through Super Thanks, your generosity is deeply appreciated. Because of you, this message reaches those who need it most, offering strength and clarity to those navigating the same path. Whether you give or not, know that your presence here is valued beyond words. And if what you're hearing resonates with your spirit, comment 999 below as a sign of divine alignment. This number is not random. It's a confirmation that you are awakening to the deeper truths of your calling. You may have noticed that your relationships do not follow the world's patterns. While others seek connection to fill a void, you sense that your journey demands something different, something rare, and that is because it does. Every moment of solitude is not an accident. It is preparation. Every unanswered question about love and companionship is not a punishment. It is an unfolding revelation. But why? What is it about you that causes this divine separation? Why do certain people seem drawn to you, yet unable to stay? Why does it feel like your presence carries an energy that attracts and repels at the same time? The truth behind your experience is more profound than you realize, and today we're going to uncover it together. Stay with us, because what you're about to hear might just change the way you see everything. God's chosen ones, this is a fact. You are not finding romance, and you need to understand the reasons. Chosen one, your very presence carries an energy so powerful that it evokes two distinct reactions in people. You either awaken their spirit to seek truth, or you make them uncomfortable because they are not ready to remove their masks. This is not about superiority or judgment. It never has been. This is about authenticity, and authenticity is rare in a world built on illusions. Your essence demands transparency, and that is something most people fear. The world has grown accustomed to wearing disguises, to presenting carefully curated versions of themselves. But you were never meant to fit into that mold. Your presence exposes what is hidden, and that's why many cannot stand too close to you for too long. They either gravitate toward your light or run from it. Think about your journey. How many times have you felt like an outsider, like you were seeing the world through a different lens while everyone else seemed oblivious? This isn't mere isolation. This isn't bad luck or misfortune in relationships. This is your calling. You were never meant to be ordinary, and ordinary connections cannot hold you. Jesus Christ walked among the people, but he was never truly understood. Even his disciples, the ones closest to him, failed to grasp the magnitude of his mission until much later. He said, "If the world hates you, know that it has hated me before it hated you." John 15:18. He was set apart, misunderstood, rejected, not because he was unworthy, but because he carried a light that not all were ready to embrace. You carry that same divine energy. The way you see the world, the way you demand truth, the way you refuse to settle, it sets you apart. Moses was raised in Pharaoh's palace, yet he never belonged there. He had access to wealth, status, and power, yet he abandoned it all because he was called for something greater. But before he could lead the Israelites, he had to walk through the wilderness alone. His journey required isolation before revelation. Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest minds in history, never married, despite his brilliance and success. He believed his purpose was too great to be divided. His mind was tuned to a frequency that most could not understand. And romance, as the world defined it, was never his priority. Leonardo da Vinci, another unparalleled genius, was centuries ahead of his time. He lived largely in solitude, his relationships never quite aligning with his brilliance. Even in modern times, Elon Musk, a man driven by a mission larger than himself, has spoken about how relationships are difficult when you operate on a different level. This is the reality of being chosen. When you are on a path that demands complete dedication, not everyone can walk alongside you. This is why your energy does not just attract love, it demands a divine connection, not a shallow one. And most people? They are not ready for that. Jesus said, "For many are called, but few are chosen." Matthew 22:14. Your path is narrow, your energy is rare, and that is why love, as the world defines it, does not come easily to you. You are not meant for ordinary love. You are meant for something extraordinary. Instead of asking, "Why am I alone?" ask yourself, "What is God preparing me for?" What if your solitude is not a punishment, but a preparation? What if the reason you haven't found romance the way others do is because God is shielding you from lesser connections that would only weaken your purpose? Many are not meant to walk alongside you. You are set apart, and that is both your burden and your greatest blessing. Chosen one, your light functions as a divine filter, shielding you from connections that would pull you away from your purpose. It is not rejection, it is protection. Some people will instinctively keep their distance, not because you have done anything wrong, but because your energy demands growth, transformation, and truth. And truth? It is not something everyone is ready to face. Think about the people who have left your life. Did they leave because you hurt them, or did they leave because your presence exposed something they were not yet ready to confront? Many prefer the comfort of illusions, staying in their well-constructed bubbles, avoiding deep reflection. They do not want to examine their hearts, to face their inner struggles, or to acknowledge the spiritual emptiness inside them. But when they encounter someone like you, someone whose very presence acts as a mirror to their soul, they instinctively withdraw. Why? Because when a person has spent years hiding from their own reality, the last thing they want is to stand in front of someone whose light reveals their shadows. And you, chosen one, cannot help but shine. Look at Jesus. How did people react to him? His presence alone caused intense reactions wherever he went. Some followed him wholeheartedly, while others despised him without reason. It wasn't about his words alone. It was about the truth he embodied. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. John 8:12. His existence was a divine force that revealed what people tried to hide, and that made many uncomfortable. You, as a chosen one, carry this same energy. Have you noticed how certain people feel restless or defensive around you, even when you've done nothing to provoke them? Have you ever spoken your truth and been met with anger, misunderstanding, or even rejection? That is because your light challenges their illusions. Even in your silence, you expose the falsehoods that others cling to. They see in you something unshakable, something real, and that forces them to confront the fact that their lives are built on shaky foundations. Some will be inspired by you and will choose to grow. But many? They will retreat. They will make excuses. They will say, "You're too intense, too deep, too much." The truth is, you are not too much. They simply are not enough to handle the weight of your purpose. But do you really want people in your life who only love you when you dim your light? Would you rather be surrounded by those who tolerate a weaker version of you, or would you rather wait for those who can handle your full power? This light is not a curse, it is a sacred gift. It allows you to see people for who they truly are, protecting you from shallow relationships and deceptive connections. It ensures that only those who are aligned with your journey can walk beside you. This is why you may feel disconnected from romantic pursuits, friendships, or even family members. Your energy cannot coexist with anything that is built on dishonesty, fear, or stagnation. Think of Moses. He was called to deliver a nation, but before he could lead, he had to be set apart. Raised in the palace of Pharaoh, he was surrounded by wealth, power, and influence, yet he never truly belonged. He was chosen for something higher, but that required isolation, separation. He spent 40 years in the wilderness, alone with God, before stepping into his purpose. Why? Because the chosen ones must be refined. They must be set apart before they can be entrusted with the greater mission. Throughout history, visionaries, leaders, and artists who carried a deep, transformative energy often faced the same reality. Mahatma Gandhi, a man of peace and truth, faced rejection even among his own people before his message reshaped a nation. Albert Einstein, whose mind operated on a level few could grasp, struggled with relationships because he saw the world differently. Even Prince, the legendary musician, spoke about how his spiritual journey made it hard for him to connect deeply with others in a conventional way. Those who see beyond the surface often walk alone, not because they are unworthy of love, but because their love must be something greater, something divine. Have you ever asked yourself, why do I struggle to connect deeply with people? Why do I feel like I see the world in a way that others do not? It is no accident that some of the greatest minds, the most revolutionary figures, the most spiritually awakened individuals have struggled with relationships. They were set apart. They were called to operate at a different frequency, one that many around them simply could not match. And you, chosen one, are no different. So do not seek to dim your light to fit in. Do not shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You are not here to be easily understood. You are here to illuminate, to awaken, to guide. This is why the world often misunderstands you. You are a beacon in the darkness, a lighthouse in the storm. Your light is not just for you, it is for those who are ready to see. Instead of wondering why certain relationships do not last, ask yourself, who is truly meant to walk beside me? Who is prepared to grow with me? Not everyone can handle the truth, but those who can, they will find you. Chosen one. How many times have you sat in silence, feeling as though no one truly understands you? How often have you looked around and felt as though you were walking a path that few could even comprehend? This loneliness, this sense of isolation, is not a punishment. It is a process of refinement, a sacred period where you are being shaped, strengthened, and drawn closer to the divine. Consider this. What if your solitude is not a sign of abandonment, but a sign of preparation? What if, in these moments of isolation, God is separating you, not to break you, but to build you into something greater? Throughout history, those who carried divine energy, those who were called to a higher mission, often walked alone. Look at Moses. Before he led the Israelites to freedom, he spent 40 years in the wilderness, far from his people, far from distractions. What was happening in that solitude? God was refining him. God was stripping away all that was unnecessary so that when the time came, Moses would be ready. Jesus himself knew loneliness. Foxes have dens, and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. Matthew 8:20. He was constantly surrounded by people, yet few truly understood him. His disciples walked with him, yet even they often failed to grasp his purpose. Imagine knowing the truth, carrying divine wisdom, and yet looking around and realizing that most people could not see what you see. Does that sound familiar to you? Often, your energy will feel too strong, too different, too overwhelming for others to handle. And so, they will leave. But do not mistake this for rejection. This is divine protection. You were not sent here to conform. You were not designed to fit into the patterns of this world. Your mission is far greater than blending in. You are here to transform, to awaken, to elevate. And transformation requires separation. Think about the people who have drifted away from you. Did they leave because you failed them? Or did they leave because your presence no longer aligned with their vibration? Sometimes people are only meant to walk with you for a season. They serve their purpose, and then their chapter in your story must close. Would you rather hold on to something that is not meant for you, or would you rather allow God to remove what is unnecessary so that He can replace it with something greater? Look at some of the greatest figures in modern history. Steve Jobs was known for his relentless vision, but it came at the cost of deep isolation. His mind operated at a frequency few could understand, and that often made him feel alone. Nikola Tesla, one of the most brilliant inventors the world has ever seen, lived largely in solitude, believing that his mission left no room for conventional relationships. Frida Kahlo, whose art spoke of pain, passion, and purpose, often felt disconnected from those around her because she saw life through a different lens. Do you see the pattern? The ones who are called, the ones who leave an impact, the ones who carry divine gifts, these people often walk alone. So when people distance themselves, do not grieve the loss. See it for what it is: God's way of protecting your energy, your mission, your destiny. If everyone could stay, you would not be set apart. If everyone understood you, you would not be chosen. God is using your energy as a compass, directing you away from distractions and aligning you with your true path. Some people will pass through your life, but not all are meant to stay. The ones who leave, they were never meant to remain. The ones who stay, they are part of your divine journey. Would you rather have temporary companionship that keeps you stagnant, or divine connections that elevate you toward your purpose? The choice is already made for you. You are chosen. You are set apart. And your path, though difficult, is leading you exactly where you are meant to be. Chosen. 1. Have you ever wondered why your journey feels different? Why, no matter how much you try to connect, there always seems to be a barrier between you and others? Why, the more you embrace your true self, the more distant the world seems to become? Your path is not like that of the ordinary. Your light is precious, your calling divine. Keep shining, even when it feels like no one is watching. Keep being authentic, even when the world pressures you to conform. Your essence is greater than any attempt to fit you into a mold. The journey of the chosen ones is not about following conventional patterns of existence. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to transform. Loneliness is not an absence of people. It is a sacred space of transformation where your divine purpose is being shaped. Each moment of isolation carries meaning, depth, and intention. It is not abandonment, it is preparation. Have you ever noticed how the greatest revelations, the moments when you truly hear God's voice, happen in silence? Could it be that your solitude is not a sign of rejection, but a divine invitation to step into a deeper understanding of your calling? God often removes distractions to build something stronger within you. Look at John the Baptist. Before he became the great forerunner of Christ, he lived in the wilderness, far from the crowds, clothed in camel's hair, surviving on locusts and honey, Matthew 3:4. Why? Because his mission required separation from the world's noise. His time in isolation gave him clarity, strength, and an unshakable spirit, allowing him to boldly declare, "Repent, for the kingdom of heaven has come near." Matthew 3:2. Have you ever felt like you are in a wilderness season, that the people you once relied on are nowhere to be found, and the places that once brought comfort now feel foreign. What if this season is not about what you are losing, but about who you are becoming? The Bible is full of stories of divine isolation. Elijah, one of the most powerful prophets, had to hide by the brook of Cherith, where God sent ravens to feed him. 1 Kings 17:2-6. He was not placed there as a punishment. He was being preserved, strengthened, and prepared for something greater. It was only after this season of isolation that he performed miracles and confronted the false prophets of Baal in one of the most powerful displays of God's power. What if God is keeping you away from distractions, unnecessary relationships, and draining connections so that he can position you for something greater? Even outside of Scripture, history shows that those who leave the greatest impact often spend long periods in isolation. Vincent van Gogh, one of the most brilliant painters in history, spent much of his life alone, misunderstood, yet he created masterpieces that would later inspire millions. Marie Curie, the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, devoted herself entirely to research, often isolating herself for long periods as she uncovered discoveries that would change science forever. Could it be that your separation is not a limitation, but a sign that you are being set apart for something extraordinary? Jesus himself had to go through 40 days in the wilderness, fasting and praying before stepping into his divine mission, Matthew 4:1-11. It was not a moment of weakness, it was a moment of supreme strengthening. The chosen ones experience the same dynamic. Chosen one, your path is different because your purpose is different. You are not being rejected, you are being refined. You are not being forgotten, you are being positioned. Instead of questioning why you feel alone, have you ever thought that maybe God is preparing you in ways you cannot yet see? The world may not understand your journey. People may question why your relationships are different, why your energy feels out of sync with the masses. But those who are set apart are refined differently. This is not a time to resist. This is a time to embrace. Because when your preparation is complete, when your refinement is finished, when God's appointed time comes, everything will change. Chosen one, your solitude is not emptiness. It is a divine recalibration. It is the sacred space where God removes distractions, where he fine-tunes your spirit so you can hear him clearly. In this silence, external interference is stripped away, allowing your soul to align with the divine plan without distortion. You are not simply waiting, you are being transformed. Why do you think your journey feels slower than others? Your journey is unique. You are not like everyone else, and that is why your preparation cannot look like theirs. The world moves in haste, chasing instant gratification, but God does not operate within human impatience. His timing is perfect, his process is precise, and his love for you surpasses all understanding. Have you wondered why certain doors have remained closed for you while others seem to move forward so easily? Could it be that your delay is not rejection but God's divine protection, ensuring that you are fully ready before he releases you into your calling? For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Habakkuk 2:3. What if your solitude is not about emptiness but about filling? It is calculated with divine precision. Every season of stillness is shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you. What may feel like emptiness is actually a time of filling, not with external things, but with something far greater, the deep, unshakable connection to your divine purpose. If you resist this process, if you try to rush through it, you risk missing what God is trying to build within you. Have you ever asked yourself if the very thing you are praying to escape from is actually the thing God is using to elevate you? Could it be that what feels like discomfort is actually the fire refining you into something stronger? This journey will not always be comfortable. Growth never is. It takes courage to remain in the process, to face the discomfort of transformation, to resist the temptation of distractions that offer temporary relief but no real change. How many times have you wanted to fill the silence with meaningless noise? To escape through entertainment, relationships, or anything that numbs the discomfort? But you were not called to escape, you were called to endure. But He knows the way that I take. When He has tested me, I will come forth as gold. Job 23:10. Have you ever thought that the hardships you are facing now are shaping you into someone the world needs? You are not the first to walk this path. C.S. Lewis, a man who transformed the way people understand faith, once said, "Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny." His own journey was marked by loss, solitude, and deep sorrow. Yet through that pain, he produced some of the most profound spiritual writings the world has ever known. If he had run from his solitude, if he had resisted the refining process, the world would not have mere Christianity or the screw-tape letters. If you knew how carefully God was orchestrating every step, would you still doubt His plan? Your solitude is not a straight road. It is a sacred process uniquely designed for you. It does not follow predictable timelines, nor does it move according to the world's expectations. You are not lost. You are being positioned. Every moment of your life, every lesson, every hardship is coming together, forming something beyond what you can see right now. What may feel like a delay is actually divine alignment. Are you focusing more on when this season will end, or on what God is trying to teach you through it? Your mission is specific, and your preparation must match the weight of your calling. Some will walk through this refining fire for months, others for years. But the time itself is not what matters. It is what happens within you during that time. What if the very things you are clinging to are the same things holding you back? To truly embrace this path, you must detach. Detach from the world's definition of success, from the expectations of others, from the false belief that your worth is measured by how quickly things happen for you. You must be willing to let go of everything you thought your life should be so you can step into the life God is actually preparing for you. Could it be that your solitude is the chisel in the hands of the divine artist? Look at Michelangelo, the legendary sculptor. When asked how he created David, he said, "I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free." Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that He may lift you up in due time. 1 Peter 5:6. If you knew that the world will soon see the masterpiece God has been working on, would you still resist the process? Your solitude is not a prison. It is the studio where God is shaping His masterpiece. You are not being forgotten. You are being refined. And when the time is right, the world will finally see what God has been preparing all along. You. Chosen one, have you ever considered that your greatest growth happens when no one is watching? The spiritual workshop where God is shaping you is not confined by physical walls. It is found within the deepest, most intimate parts of your being. In this space of silence, far from the distractions and applause of the world, God is doing His most transformative work. This is the place where your true self is brought to the surface, refined, and made ready for the purpose He has set for you. It is here, in quiet solitude, that God whispers the very details of your mission, guiding you toward your divine destiny. For you, O God, have tested us. You have refined us as silver is refined. Psalm 66:10. Your solitude is not a curse. It is a divine preparation ground, a place where you're being shaped into who God has always known you to be. Do not defile this time by comparing yourself to others. It is tempting, we know. The world tells us to look around, to measure ourselves against what others are doing, how fast they are achieving their goals. But your journey is uniquely yours, and comparison only steals the beauty of the work God is doing in your life. Each moment of solitude is part of His perfect plan to mold you into the vessel you were meant to be. Have you ever questioned why, when the world seems to move so fast, your path feels slower? Could it be that God is not delayed in His plans, but is rather waiting for the right moment to reveal His full purpose for you? This moment of solitude is not about waiting for something external to change. It is about an internal transformation, a deepening of your relationship with the divine. Preparing does not mean standing still. It means being actively engaged in the process of becoming. Every moment, even when it feels like nothing is happening, is shaping you into the person you need to be to fulfill your calling. Preparing involves more than physical stillness. It is a spiritual movement of listening deeply, of remaining open and receptive to God's whispers. Do you ever feel the pull of your spirit toward deeper understanding, toward a greater intimacy with God? That is the work He is doing in you, quietly, powerfully, shaping you for a future beyond your imagination. This is your spiritual apprenticeship, where your soul is being formed to handle the weight of the purpose you were born to fulfill. You walk your journey at your own pace. You do not need to measure your progress by others' standards. The world has a timeline, and it is not your timeline. Many will make it seem like success comes quickly, that your worth is determined by external accomplishments or by comparison with those around you. But your pace, though it may feel solitary at times, is divinely aligned with your purpose. Even the moments you feel most alone are part of the divine unfolding. Every step, even the difficult ones, is part of a greater plan that is leading you to exactly where you are meant to be. The Lord will fulfill His purpose for me. Your steadfast love, O Lord, endures forever. Psalm 138:8. In this season, you may notice that your relationships are changing. People may come and go, and that is okay. The journey of the chosen ones is one of deep refinement. It requires the ability to discern between those who are meant to walk with you and those who are only part of your journey for a season. It is not about arrogance. It is about understanding the value of authentic connections. These true relationships align with your purpose, strengthen your spirit, and support your calling. Others who do not understand your path may not remain, and that is part of the divine process. Think about Albert Einstein, a man whose intellectual gifts set him apart from his peers. He once said, "The monotony and solitude of a quiet life stimulates the creative mind." It was in his solitude, in moments of reflection and stillness, that he made breakthroughs in physics that changed the world. If he had surrounded himself with constant noise, if he had filled his life with distractions, would he have had the clarity needed to make his discoveries? Just like Einstein, you are being given the gift of time and space to uncover the hidden potential within you. Could it be that your solitude is not a punishment, but a sacred preparation for the greatness God is unfolding in your life? You may feel like you are walking a path that others cannot understand, and that is okay. You are being set apart for something extraordinary. It is not always easy, but the solitude you are experiencing is God's workshop, where He is molding you into the person who will fulfill His mission for you. Do not be afraid of the quiet. Do not resist the time of waiting, because in these moments, God is building something within you that cannot be built in any other way. "For I know the plans I have for you," declares the Lord. "Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." Jeremiah 29:11. So trust the process. Embrace the solitude. It is the divine preparation that will lead you to your calling. You are being crafted, shaped, and molded for a purpose that is beyond what you can currently understand. When the time is right, when the refining is complete, you will emerge as the masterpiece God always intended you to be, equipped and ready to fulfill the mission He has whispered into your soul. Chosen one, relationships today are built on convenience rather than commitment. Social media, dating apps, and fleeting encounters have created an environment where people seek instant gratification rather than deep, meaningful bonds. They exchange likes, share brief moments, and move on when something new appears. But for you, relationships cannot be casual distractions. They are a sacred commitment. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. Romans 12:2. You are not here to build temporary connections. Every person in your life must have a greater purpose. A relationship should be more than just physical attraction or momentary compatibility. It must align with your spirit, your mission, and your divine calling. Have you ever wondered why certain relationships, no matter how comfortable they seem, feel like they are holding you back? It is because your soul knows when a connection is not aligned with your destiny. The scripture in Amos 3:3 reminds us of a fundamental truth. Can two walk together unless they are agreed? It is not enough to simply like someone or enjoy their presence. You must share a vision, a purpose, a calling. If your spiritual journey is pulling you in one direction and a relationship is pulling you in another, conflict is inevitable. Many chosen ones undergo a painful process of detachment, realizing they must release relationships that do not contribute to their spiritual growth. Could it be that God is asking you to let go, not because He is taking something from you, but because He is protecting you from what would drain your spirit? This is not about rejection, it is about discernment. God does not want your life filled with relationships that deplete you, that lower your frequency, that prevent you from stepping fully into your purpose. Have you noticed how some connections leave you feeling drained, confused, or disconnected from your spiritual path? That is a sign that they are not meant for you. Superficial relationships are like noise. They clutter your soul and prevent you from hearing the clarity of your mission. The world tells you that being alone is a curse, but strategic loneliness is better than a relationship that diverts you from your calling. Some seasons require you to stand alone so that you can be properly positioned for what God is preparing for you. Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Proverbs 4:23. It is better to walk alone than to be with someone who does not understand your essence, who does not respect your spiritual journey. Have you ever been in a relationship where you had to dim your light just to make someone else feel comfortable? Have you ever found yourself hiding parts of your spiritual self because you feared being misunderstood? You were not meant to shrink. Chosen ones carry a different frequency. Your energy is not compatible with relationships based on personal interest, fleeting attraction, or social convenience. Each encounter must have a deeper dimension, something that nourishes your spirit rather than distracts you from your purpose. You are not meant to settle for less than a connection that elevates, expands, and strengthens you. Look at Nikola Tesla, a man whose mind operated on a higher level than those around him. He understood that his calling required absolute focus, which is why he remained single, stating, "I do not think you can name many great inventions that have been made by married men." He knew that misaligned relationships could become distractions from his greater purpose. Have you considered that your solitude is not about lack, but about preparation for the right connection? This is not about closing yourself off from love. Openness is necessary, but with discernment. You are learning to recognize which connections add to your spirit rather than drain it. The right people will not require you to compromise your faith, your vision, or your mission. They will walk beside you, understanding the weight of your calling and the depth of your journey. Do not fear the path of intentional solitude. It is leading you away from what is shallow and toward what is truly meant for you. Your energy is precious. Protect it, honor it, and trust that the right connections will come in divine timing. Chosen one, the world constantly pushes the idea that being alone is a problem, but for you, it is a sacred space of strengthening. This solitude is not about emptiness. It is about clarity, calibration, and preparation. The more you come to know yourself, the clearer you become about the kind of relationships that truly belong in your life. Teach me to do your will, for you are my God. May your good spirit lead me on level ground. Psalm 143, verse 10. Many chosen ones experience seasons of solitude, not as punishment but as preparation. It is a time when old relationship patterns are reviewed, when expectations are redefined, when your heart is recalibrated to align with divine wisdom. Have you noticed how in this period of solitude you are beginning to see things differently? The connections that once seemed fulfilling now feel hollow, and the relationships that once defined your sense of worth no longer carry the same weight. This is not loss, it is realignment. What if every superficial relationship you release is creating space for something deeper, something truly aligned with your spirit? Society glorifies relationships, but few talk about the importance of being whole within yourself first. You're not called to chase connections. You're called to become the person who attracts the right ones naturally, those who are in harmony with your purpose. The world teaches you to fear loneliness, but God teaches you that solitude is where He does His best work. Abraham was alone when he heard God's promise. Moses was alone in the wilderness before he led a nation. Even Jesus withdrew from the crowds before stepping into His greatest purpose. Could it be that your solitude is where God is preparing you for what's next? It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. Genesis 2:18. But divine relationships are never rushed. God prepares encounters with precision. They are not coincidences, but orchestrated alignments. Have you noticed how certain people enter your life exactly when you need them? Sometimes for a lesson, sometimes for a longer journey. This is why discernment is key. Not every person is meant to stay. Some are here to teach you, some to challenge you, and some to walk beside you. Can you recognize the difference? And look at Steve Jobs, a man whose relationships were highly selective. He once said, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life." He understood that energy is precious, and the people you surround yourself with either elevate or drain you. What if God is teaching you to value your energy so that you no longer invest in relationships that do not serve your higher calling? The most important connection you will ever cultivate is the one with yourself and with the divine. Before you can truly walk with others, you must first walk in alignment with your own spirit. The depth of your inner connection determines the depth of every external relationship you will ever have. Could it be that God is asking you to focus on building within, so that when the right connections come, you will be ready to receive them? This process is not about quantity, it is about quality. It is not about filling space, it is about making space. When the time is right, the relationships meant for you will arrive, and they will not come with confusion, distraction, or depletion. They will come with clarity, strength, and alignment. Until then, embrace this preparation. You are not alone. You are being positioned. Chosen. One, like the way the world approaches love, dating, and companionship, feels shallow and disconnected from something deeper within you. Do not blame yourself for this. Do not question your uniqueness. Your journey is different because your calling is different. The right time will come at the right moment with the right people, and when that happens, it will not be forced. it will be divinely aligned. For still the vision awaits its appointed time. It hastens to the end. It will not lie. If it seems slow, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay. Habakkuk 2:3. Spiritual maturity is not about rushing into relationships just because society tells you that you should. It is about learning to trust divine timing, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Have you ever wondered why some people can easily form relationships, while for you, the process seems slower, more selective, and deeply intentional? It is because God is refining you for something that is not ordinary. Relationships for the chosen ones are not contracts of convenience, not surface-level agreements based on fleeting emotions. They are soul encounters, divinely orchestrated connections that serve a higher purpose beyond personal fulfillment. Every relationship in your life should elevate, strengthen, and align with your spiritual mission. This is why you must stand firm. Do not lower your standards for temporary comfort. Do not rush ahead of God's timing. Keep preparing, because what is being formed for you is far greater than anything you could create for yourself. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. Divine preparation for true relationships is not an event. It is a process. It is not a sudden arrival, but a gradual unfolding. God is not working within human urgency. He is operating in divine precision. Have you considered that every detail of your life is being shaped right now to prepare you for something that requires a stronger, wiser, and more spiritually aligned version of you? Think of yourself as a musical instrument being tuned. Every experience, every challenge, every season of solitude represents a fine adjustment, a refinement of your sound, so that when the right harmony arrives, the connection will be undeniable. What if the very things you once saw as delays were actually alignments in disguise? The story of Adam and Eve reveals a powerful truth. God did not just create Eve. He prepared her for Adam. She was not sent at the wrong time, nor was she randomly placed in his life. She was divinely formed to be a match for his essence. In the same way, God is preparing someone specifically for you. This is not about settling for just anyone. This is about aligning with the right person. Have you ever considered that the person meant for you is also undergoing their own process of refinement, just as you are? I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. Psalm 32:8. Chosen one, you are not meant for ordinary relationships. You are not here to seek temporary companionship just to fill space. You are here to experience a connection with purpose, depth, and divine intention. Each season of solitude you go through has a reason, whether it is to heal from past wounds, restore emotional balance, or develop the spiritual maturity necessary for a lasting and meaningful relationship. Could it be that the time you spend alone is not about loneliness, but about becoming the person who is fully ready for the kind of love God has destined for you? Look at Leonardo da Vinci, a man whose mind saw things centuries ahead of his time. He once said, "Patience serves as a protection against wrongs as clothes do against cold." He understood that rushing into something prematurely leads to imbalance. What if the waiting is not about testing your patience, but about preserving you from something that is not meant for you? Divine preparation is not one-sided. It is working simultaneously in you and in the person being prepared for you. Two paths are being shaped, two stories are unfolding, and they are destined to intersect at the perfect time. This is why waiting does not mean passivity. Being prepared means being actively engaged in your own growth, developing self-awareness, healing, evolving spiritually, and aligning with God's guidance. The more you know your own soul, your own purpose, your own calling, the clearer it will become who truly belongs beside you. Do not fear the waiting. Do not resist the process. Because when God finally aligns your path with the right person, It will be undeniable. You will understand why the waiting was necessary. Many chosen ones carry wounds from past relationships, scars that may not be visible but deeply imprinted on their hearts. The solitude you are experiencing right now is not just waiting, it is divine reconstruction. It is a season of resignifying emotional patterns, reshaping your understanding of love, and refining your spirit so that you do not carry old wounds into a new, divine connection. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147, verse 3. Maturity for an aligned relationship requires more than physical attraction, more than surface-level compatibility. Have you noticed how the world treats relationships as something transactional, based on convenience rather than calling? For you, relationships cannot be casual distractions, they must be purposeful connections. To truly be ready for a God-ordained partnership, you must first understand yourself, your mission, and what your soul truly needs beyond the temporary desires of the flesh. What if God is not just preparing you for love, but for a spiritual partnership? God is orchestrating a union that is more than a simple relationship. This is not about just finding someone to share moments with. It is about a meeting of callings, where two divinely assigned paths come together to create something greater than the individual. The connection God has for you is not about filling a void. It is about expanding a mission. Do you see how different this is from what the world teaches? Society glorifies love as the ultimate goal, yet true divine relationships are not about personal fulfillment, but about divine assignment. Some chosen ones will go through a longer season of solitude, while for others, the preparation will be shorter. The duration does not matter. What matters is the depth of transformation. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1. Instead of seeing your solitude as something to endure, can you shift your perspective and see it as a divine investment? Every prayer you have whispered, every tear you have shed, every moment of self-reflection is building the foundation for the right relationship. Divine preparation is happening even in the smallest details, realigning your spirit, adjusting your energy, and healing the deepest wounds you may not even realize are still there. Could it be that you are not just being prepared for any relationship, but for the right person, someone who matches your spirit, complements your calling, and deepens your divine mission? It is easy to question the process when you do not fully understand the plan. But just because you cannot see it does not mean it is not happening. Every cycle you have endured has had a purpose, whether it was to heal, to strengthen, to restore, or to expand your understanding of love. Your heart is being purified, your expectations are being realigned, and your spirit is evolving into the version of yourself that will be truly ready for what God has in store. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. Proverbs 3:5-6. The promise is not that your relationship will be perfect, but that it will be meaningful, deeply rooted in purpose, and aligned with something greater than personal fulfillment. It will serve a higher mission, a divine assignment, a love that is not just about the two of you, but about what you will create together for the kingdom. Are you ready to prioritize your mission over personal desires? For the chosen ones, relationships are not the ultimate goal. They are a tool for something greater. While the world tells you that love is the final destination, your path is different. The mission will always come first. Have you ever wondered why God has kept certain relationships from forming in your life? Could it be that He is protecting your energy, preserving your focus, and preparing you for a connection that is truly aligned? Look at Paul, one of the greatest spiritual warriors in history. He did not see celibacy or the absence of relationships as a loss, but as a strategic decision to remain fully devoted to his divine mission. His life teaches us that sometimes the mission is greater than personal desire. Have you ever considered that God is shaping your life in the same way, refining your understanding of relationships so that you do not settle for something that does not align with your divine path? But I want you to be free from concern. An unmarried man is concerned about the Lord's affairs, how he can please the Lord. 1 Corinthians 7:32. Some chosen ones will be called to a path of total availability for their divine work. Others will be aligned with a partner who is equally committed to the mission. But in both cases, the common factor is always the mission. Before you think about building bonds, you must first deeply understand your divine vocation. Every talent you have, every spiritual gift, every unique characteristic you possess is being refined for a greater purpose. Have you noticed how certain distractions, certain relationships, and certain habits are being stripped away from your life? That is because God is filtering everything that does not serve your higher calling. Do not mistake this season of solitude for a season of stagnation. It is a time of internal calibration, where external noise is filtered out, allowing a direct and powerful communication between you and God. He is ensuring that before you step into any relationship, you are fully aligned with your purpose. Could it be that your mission is being refined right now, so that when the right relationship comes, it will not be a distraction, but an expansion of your purpose? Stand firm. Keep preparing. The waiting is not punishment. It is divine positioning. When the moment arrives, when your mission aligns with the right soul, you will realize that every moment of solitude was not in vain. It was preparing you for something far greater than you ever imagined. Beloved chosen. 1. The mission is not something you choose. It is something that chooses you. You do not define your calling, you discover it. And this discovery is not immediate. It requires time, patience, and a deep commitment that most people are unwilling to embrace. While the world rushes toward instant gratification, you have been set apart to understand the value of preparation. Every moment of waiting is not wasted. It is a process of refinement, of stripping away what is unnecessary, of aligning your spirit with the greater plan God has for your life. This journey is not about how quickly things happen, but about how deeply you are transformed. Some doors remain closed because they are not aligned with your mission. Some relationships do not stay because they were not meant to go where you are going. Some seasons of solitude feel endless because God is doing a meticulous work in you, a work that cannot be rushed. You are not being delayed, you are being prepared. The greatest threat to your mission is distraction. The wrong relationship entered at the wrong time can derail your purpose, pulling your focus away from what truly matters. That is why your first priority must always be your divine assignment. This does not mean relationships are forbidden. It means that relationships must be aligned with your calling, not a replacement for it. You are not here to find someone to complete you. You are here to become whole within yourself, so that when the right person arrives, they add to your mission rather than distract from it. Everything you are experiencing now is part of your preparation. Every challenge, every test, every moment of solitude is building the foundation for your spiritual impact. God is using this time to strengthen your mind, refine your heart, and purify your desires, so that when He finally brings the right connections into your life, you will recognize them instantly. Solitude is not a punishment, it is a divine strategy. It teaches you to rely on God, to find strength in stillness, to be guided by something deeper than emotions or temporary desires. What if your season of solitude is actually a season of elevation? What if, in this very moment, God is removing every unnecessary attachment, so that your life is open and available for something far greater than you could ever plan for yourself. You have never been alone, not for a single moment. Every unanswered prayer, every season of stillness, every moment of feeling unseen, God was there, watching over you, refining you, molding you into the person He needs you to become. When the time is right, when your preparation is complete, the relationships that enter your life will not be temporary, superficial, or misaligned. They will be divinely appointed, purposeful, and deeply fulfilling. But before that moment arrives, you must be willing to trust the process. Stay committed, stay faithful. The waiting is not in vain. It is a sacred preparation that is shaping your destiny. When your time comes, you will look back on this season and understand why it had to happen exactly this way. If this message has spoken to your soul, consider supporting this mission through Super Thanks. Your contribution allows this message to reach more chosen ones who need guidance on their journey. But whether you donate or not, know that you are deeply appreciated. Your presence here is a blessing, and I pray that God continues to strengthen, guide, and uplift you. Share this message with those who may need it. Let them know that their solitude is not a burden, but a preparation, that their waiting is not a punishment, but an alignment, and that their purpose is unfolding exactly as it should. Your time is coming. Stay ready.